Welcome back to Mortgage Q&A with AJ. Today we will be asking the question, when is the best time to buy?
This is a question that I'm getting a lot right now. Obviously with homes being at an all-time high, interest rates being at an all-time low, affordability is much easier. And I'm seeing homes go for $100,000 over asking in California right now. So I definitely understand the concerns. If you think back to 2008 when there was the crash, right now you get a lot of people that are thinking, okay, well, if homes are this expensive, what if I don't buy right now and I wait for the market to go down? But for me, I actually believe that if homes are to go down in price, it means interest rates went up. That's just my opinion.
So what's favorable to the buyer?
Affordability.
Right.
If you're renting and you understand that rent's going to continue to go up, why would you not want to lock in a rate and have a consistent mortgage payment if it's comparable? What I would say is I don't want you to rent for $1,000 a month, but all of a sudden take on a $3,000 mortgage if your income isn't there, it's not stable, right? So that's just a question that you have to ask yourself. There is no perfect time. It's what you believe and what you trust, right? I'm sure when you purchased your home, right, recently, it was something that you worried about.
Yes.
It's a very big concern.
It's a leap of faith, isn't
Correct.
it? It's
exactly.
like you come to a point in your life where you're like, I'm ready for this next step.
Exactly.
But most people don't know the process of doing it. So they're figuring it out as they go, which is why the show is so amazing.
Right.
Because why can't we learn these things before we make these major life decisions?
And the biggest thing you said is it's trust, right? It's an understanding that you're ready.
Yeah.
And once you believe that you're ready, then that's the perfect time.
Right.
Now the numbers come in with us, right? It's me sitting down with you and be able to be honest with you, looking at your income, right? Because when you're going through the process to buy, I'm going to look at your income. I'm going to look at your credit score. I know where you're spending your money. One thing with mortgages that I find to be concerning, as from what I do, right, is when I'm looking to qualify you for your mortgage, I don't think about, do you send your kid to private school? How much you spend on groceries? That's not in your debt to income ratio.
Right.
So these are things that we need to talk about to see how you live your life. If you're someone that likes to gamble a little bit, that you like to go on vacations, these aren't things that that the lenders take into account.
Right.
So I need to speak to you to walk you through that to see what you can afford and what you're willing to take on.
So we need to be willing to be very transparent financially with our lenders.
Very open.
Because that's the only way you can really help us.
Exactly, very open. Because you don't want to be what we call house poor. I don't want to put you in a mortgage to where you're so frustrated after you buy the house when you make your mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And
there's no money left over.
There's no money, right?
Else.
Life is already hard enough.
Right.
So to now take on a mortgage and be focused on that payment and not be able to do the things that you love to do, you're just going to frustrate yourself, and you're not going to like yourself. You're not going to like me. You're not going to like anything that's going on in your life at that point.
Right.
And we don't want to put you through that. But when it comes to buying, one of the things that I've said is right now interest rates are at 2.875, 2.75, right? In that range. My belief is if values do go down, it means that interest rates went up. Right. So for comparison, if you were to buy a home right now for a $500,000 home and to get a mortgage putting 5% down, the same affordability, if rates went up to 4.5%, would be $410,000. So you would lose $90,000 for the same exact payment.
Wow.
So when someone says, is this the right time to buy? I think I'm waiting for the market to go down.
Right. Because they're looking at housing prices and they're like, ah.
Right. The things that you're focused on is payment.
Right.
If the house is $500,000 now, but it goes down to 410, but interest rates went up, you're still paying the exact same mortgage.
Right.
So it's not like you did anything for yourself, right? Like if I'm calling you asking you for the same amount of money, to you it feels the same thing, right? Because
Except you just need those numbers explained to you because it's not what you're seeing on the paper. You're just looking at this big housing cost and you're like,
exactly.
How am I going to afford that? And you're like, no, it does. It balances itself out. It equals itself out.
Exactly. And I feel like some people, sometimes when they're going through the process, they're being competitive, right? It's like this thing of I won, right? Like it was 500,000, now it went to 4. Like that's nothing. That's
and it doesn't help you if the interest rate went up.
Exactly.
However many points.
So for me, it's more of, what are you currently paying rent?
Right.
Can you afford this mortgage payment? And where are interest rates at that time? And I think if you ask yourself those questions honestly, you find out that whatever time it is, if it's not the right time or the right time.
I mean, this is very validating to me because I was renting prior to buying in New York. It was very, very expensive.
Right.
And that's why my husband and I decided to start looking. We're like, let's just look and kind of see. And we saw that when we did the numbers, it was exceptionally cheaper. Like our monthly payments on our mortgage was so much cheaper than the money we were throwing away on rent.
Right.
So maybe that means it was a good decision.
It was. And I think the biggest thing which you'll see in pretty much every episode that I'll go over is it's very important to do the research. I feel like anything we do in life, right? You have to ask yourself the questions. You have to be honest. And then if you do the research and it looks right, then why wouldn't you look into it more?
Well, and on the show, we're clarifying what research needs to be done. Because sometimes you just don't know the questions to ask, you know?
Right.
You're just going in blindly and you're trusting people blindly because you don't know anything about this topic.
Right.
You know, so that's why the show is so brilliant because we're learning where to start and where we can go and what questions to ask and what to research on our own. And it's so important. Things I did not know when we were buying a home.
And it doesn't happen for everyone, but in many cases, if you look at your rent and then you figure out that you have 5% down or 3% down in some cases, right? For your house, to put down on the home and you have the money, you'll end up finding out that your mortgage can be less than your rent. And if it is, it's a no-brainer. Why would you not want to own? When you rent someone's home, they can sell at any time and move you. You know, you don't want to fix their place up because you're putting money into something that's not even yours.
Right, exactly.
Right? If the plumbing goes out, you have to wait for your landlord to fix it. There's so many things that go in to, you know, being a renter that I feel like it just doesn't feel as secure in owning your own property.
Right. Okay, so can you give us an example of one of your clients that came to you who is hoping to buy a home, and just can you walk us through the process?
Yeah, so I have a client recently that reached out to me. We're actually closing their loan next week, and all the concerns that everyone has right now, right? Is this the time to buy? And they were sitting there thinking, I can't believe I'm buying at an all-time high. The seller is asking us to remove our contingencies, to not worry about how much the home is worth and all these things. And, you know, they trusted me in that process immediately. And, you know, they came into my office, I sat down with them face to face. I told them what they should be concerned about. And then I also told them that there was no risk because you don't have to go all the way through with this, right? People believe a lot when they're buying that once they sign that contract in the very beginning that they have to do it. And for me, this isn't a competition. This is doing the right thing, and you have to feel that the whole way through the process. And obviously, like I said, in California right now, homes are going 100,000 over. So if that home doesn't appraise for that amount, you have to come in with the difference with cash, which is very scary for a lot of people.
Doesn't appraise that amount?
Yeah, so
what does that
meaning
mean?
You buy the home for 500,000.
Yeah.
The value comes in at 450,000. The bank isn't going to lend you that extra 50. If they think the house is worth 450, you need to bring in the extra $50,000.
And is that the
$1.
appraiser's fault?
No, not the appraiser's fault. I mean, it's meaning that the comps, the comparables in the neighborhood don't reflect the value that you're buying it for. But you might love the house so much that you want to pay $50,000 more for what it's worth.
Right.
Because that home fits you, right? And if you
Right.
can afford it, again, we're going to affordability. If you can afford that, then it's worth it.
And as you were saying before, if the interest rates are low enough,
Right.
it could be worth it in the end anyway, because it's the long game that we're playing here, right?
Exactly. Because most people, when they're buying homes, they're buying a home to live in it for a very long time, raise family. They want to be in a school district. They want to be in a certain neighborhood because of safety, like just things like that. And
right.
it's very,
There's incentive, of course.
It's very, very important. So, when we sat down with them, we walked them through the process. Again, the value did come in at the $500,000, and everything it worked out. It's working out perfect for them. Again, same thing. We went over what is their rent. They were paying $3,200 in rent. Now their mortgage payment is going to be more like $2,800. So it's a $400 savings per month, and they feel very comfortable with it. They know that they can afford it, and they're very happy with the neighborhood and the possibilities.
Okay, now can you give us an example of when it's not worked out for somebody?
I have a couple examples. When you're purchasing a home, there's contingencies. So there's like loan approval, and there's home inspection.
Oh, yes, I know about those.
Right. So obviously, as a buyer, you're responsible to pay for your home inspection. That isn't something your lender pays for. Through the home inspection, you're hiring a company to look at a roof, dry rot, just things, things that they can find wrong. And you obviously, again, want to trust that person isn't going to just set you up for failure and move you into a home where you have a bunch of problems, right, when you move in, right?
Yes, and this did happen to us. I have to interject so quickly because we had the inspection done, we ended up closing on the house, blah, 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 blah. We went in, there were gas leaks everywhere, and then we had to pay all of this money out of pocket after the fact. So yes, find a really good inspector.
Yes, and that's very, very important. And I've had a client recently who was going through the process, had the home inspection. Actually, they had a really good home inspector who found these issues. And sometimes you're in contract, you feel like you need to finalize it. It's a competition. I've signed up for this, I need to do it. But they actually had a different opinion, and they were saying, hey, you know what, I feel comfortable, I'm not happy with this home.
Right.
Yes, they lost the money on the inspection, but over the long haul, they don't
save
have
money.
Exactly, they save money because they don't have those problems with the home. And then the other situation was we were in the middle of a loan. Client really wanted the house. One thing and I had to learn from this as a lender, and it's something that I now tell my clients all the time. It's while you're going through the process, you cannot add on debt. Because when we pull your credit in the beginning, we have your debt to income ratio, meaning how much money you make compared to how much money you're putting out. And they went and bought a car.
Oh no.
Did not let me know. And the lender re-pulled the credit, because that's what we do at the end. They said, what is this new debt? And now all of a sudden they don't qualify to get the home, and it becomes a scramble.
They got a little too cocky.
Exactly. It becomes a scramble, and you're really trying to figure out how to make the loan work at that point.
Okay.
And so in this case, they lost out because
That's good advice,
the car payment was so much that they couldn't take it on. So I would suggest, while you're in the middle of the process, don't do anything.
Just focus on buying the house.
Exactly. And buy your cars later or anything else that you're going to take on.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is a wrap on today's episode, but please tune in next week because we will be talking about when it's a good time to pay off your home faster.